on this Wednesday night.
Canadians need to know that we will always, as a government, as a country, stand up for the interests of Canadians.
The Prime Minister is pushed on relations with China as a third Canadian is detained. We'll show you why that's not the only source of tensions.
President Trump is running his Syria policy as if it's a reality TV show.
Heavy criticism from all sides as the U.S. will pull its troops from Syria. Why there's concern about a brutal repeat of recent history.
But then there are those other times when you think, oh, I wish I had someone to talk to.
As baby boomers age, a long ago trend is new again, living with friends, making a move away from loneliness. This is The National.
In the diplomatic chill between Canada and China, this can't possibly help. News of another Canadian taken into custody, the third in less than 10 days now, all as the government's China travel advisory remains unchanged. Not surprisingly, it was a major theme for reporters at the Prime Minister's year-end news conference. Katie Simpson has details about the woman most recently detained and why Justin Trudeau's response to the crisis seems so restrained.
The Prime Minister is trying to downplay fears over escalating tensions with Beijing. A difficult task after the arrest of yet another Canadian, Sarah McIver, an Alberta woman teaching in China.
We are looking into the details on this most recent one that doesn't seem to fit the pattern set by the previous two.
Trudeau says this case is different because it appears to be something routine like a visa problem, which is not necessarily uncommon, whereas former diplomat Michael Kovrig and entrepreneur Michael Spavor are both accused of compromising Chinese national security. The government confirmed this latest arrest after getting a tip from the Conservatives.
One of our members of Parliament in Alberta received a call from a family member, and we're very concerned. This is someone that's been living and working in China for several months without difficulty in any way. And then suddenly officials pulled the person in for questioning in relation to their visa.
All three detentions come after Canada arrested Meng Wanzhou, the CFO of tech giant Huawei, at the request of the United States. And while Ottawa will not call Beijing's actions retaliatory, there's little doubt in the minds of observers.
It's hard to see that it's a coincidence or because there's just too many of these things happening all at once.
I think it's very disturbing, and I think it is time, for the Canadian authorities to take some actions.
Trudeau is defending those actions so far, even as his critics call for new increased travel warnings and demand he personally do more to help the detained Canadians.
Even though political posturing might be satisfactory in the short term to make yourself, feel like you're stomping on the table and doing something significant, it may not directly contribute to the outcome we all want.
And the CBC's Katie Simpson joins me now. All right, Katie, it doesn't seem like Canada's received a lot of public support from its allies in dealing with this diplomatic crisis, but I understand that may change soon.
That's right. A source with direct knowledge of the situation tells me, Rosie, that there's been a quiet push by Canadian diplomats to get Canada's traditional allies to speak out publicly in Canada's defense. Canadian officials are arguing that China's behavior really needs to be called out. And while Canada is being targeted today, any like-minded ally could be hit tomorrow. There has not been a lot of resistance to this campaign, I'm told. It is even getting some support in the United States. And there's expected to be some sort of public backing of Canada in the next couple of days, Rosie.
Okay, Katie, thanks for this again tonight. The CBC's Katie Simpson continuing to track this story for us in Ottawa. Of course, the truth is when it comes to China, it's not just about diplomacy, it's also business. So the Prime Minister was asked today if he will ban Huawei from Canada's 5G network, as three close allies have also done. He was not definitive.
It shouldn't at all be a political decision made on how we engage, but a decision made by experts.
In other words, we're not there yet. Spy chiefs from the Five Eyes intelligence network briefed Trudeau at least twice this year, warning that Huawei's close ties to the Chinese government constitute a serious national security risk. The U.S., Australia, and New Zealand have banned the company from 5G development. The U.K. hasn't ruled it out. Now, considering the dismal state of relations, Ottawa may simply be worried about more Chinese retaliation. Turns out, though, this is not the only area of tension between the countries. As Murray Brewster explains, things had been heating up even before Meng was arrested.
Go ahead. Over.
For months, Canadian military forces have been helping enforce sanctions on North Korea, and that has at times raised the ire of Beijing, according to Canada's top military commander.
We have been interfered with on our flights in the area and been challenged inappropriately in international airspace.
By China?
By China. We fly in the region, and we and our allies have been challenged, and in some cases challenged inappropriately.
Can you define inappropriately?
Flying too close, using improper radio procedure to challenge, inappropriate language.
In other words, they were swearing at us. We asked National Defence for more information, and all they would say was that the incidents took place in October, and at no time were Canadians at risk. As China flexes its muscles, there are implications right on Canada's doorstep.
We also have to consider longer-term issues as it relates to what China has said about access to the Arctic and how we see access to the Arctic.
Earlier this year, Beijing released its Arctic strategy, promising to build a polar Silk Road along Canada's northern border. State-owned companies in China have invested tens of billions of dollars in resource development, building ports and establishing ice-free trade routes.
The prospects of the Arctic becoming a point of tension on the globe, I think, are real.
Most experts say the chances of a military clash in the Arctic are slim, but that doesn't rule out the kind of intimidation we saw off North Korea from happening here one day. Murray Brewster, CBC News, Ottawa.
Let's turn to the UK now, where today marks 100 days until Brexit. There's still no deal for a smooth exit from the European Union, but the British Prime Minister insists one is coming soon.
We will set out what is achieved in our EU discussions when we return in the new year, when we have had those discussions, when we bring those assurances back.
Okay, but some business groups aren't convinced, though. They posted this open letter today saying the risk of a no-deal Brexit is rising and warning there's not enough time to prevent severe dislocation and disruption. But today, the fear of future disruption gave way to actual disruption in the Parliament. And while the Prime Minister is used to being the target of derision, as Thomas Douglas shows us, today it was the opposition leader who was called out for words he seemed to aim in her direction.
Order! Calm yourselves. Try to get into the Christmas spirit.
This house is hardly the home of good cheer, especially when the Prime Minister and opposition leader face off.
Look behind you. They're not impressed, and neither's the country.
Now, read Jeremy Corbyn's lips. Did he call Theresa May a stupid woman? Once the clip hit social media,
Calm down.
the House of Commons erupted.
Order! Order!
The Speaker said he missed it, so MPs demanded he review the video.
From the point of view of women in this House who are fed up over decades of being abused by men.
I saw it, sir. I saw him say it.
If only for a moment, Britain took its eyes off Brexit and focused on the crisis du jour.
You know, you wouldn't accept behaviour like that in a nursery class, and yet this is the supposed mother of all parliaments.
So, what did he really say in there? Corbyn's spokesperson was quick to claim the leader of the opposition said stupid people, not stupid woman. So, here's another look.
The Prime Minister's response?
Everybody in this House, particularly in this 100th year anniversary of women getting the vote, should be aiming to encourage women to come into this chamber.
Whatever Corbyn did say, it wasn't sorry.
Mr. Speaker, I did not use the words stupid woman.
He's come under fire for his handling of Brexit, accused of having no clear plan of his own. This won't help him.
I don't think you can directly say that because he's handled Brexit in the way that he does, he's under greater fire now in the Commons chamber. But there is just a greater sense of anger around the place.
Yes, even holiday spirit can't replace the gloom felt here. Thomas Daigle, CBC News, London.
And a little more gloom now. The District of Columbia has announced it is suing Facebook over the Cambridge Analytica data breach. The suit alleges Facebook misled users about the security of their data and failed to track third-party apps. Viewers might remember Cambridge Analytica. It's a political consulting firm employed by, amongst others, the Donald Trump campaign. It obtained improperly harvested user data from tens of millions of Facebook users. Then it tried to use that information to target political messages for maximum effect. When the breach was revealed earlier this year, it was a major scandal for the tech giant, and not the last one. A New York Times report shows that Facebook has given dozens of businesses stunning access to user data. It's a glimpse into the black box of Facebook's data partnerships, and it's opened a Pandora's box of questions. More than 150 companies had arrangements with Facebook, giving some of them access to things like names and contact information of not just users, but their friends, and then the power to read private messages. As one of the journalists behind the Times report notes, there's no evidence partners abused this data.
But the focus was that Facebook gave them broad access to readers' messages, including the ability to read them. And I think that people's reaction is generally to be dismayed that Facebook has not been upfront time and time again in disclosing these types of different partnerships and special arrangements that they have with what seems to be an ever-increasing amount of companies.
Facebook's response, that many of these arrangements are no longer in effect and no laws were breached. But Facebook is already facing a storm of scrutiny over privacy. Lawmakers and officials in Europe and the U.S. are looking hard at the company's practices.
Is Facebook limiting the amount or type of data Facebook itself collects or uses?
Congressman, yes.
It certainly looks like the days of Congress essentially deeming the high-tech industry as off-limits, those days are over.
As for users, they are again left with a question: do you know where your data is? So there is a lot to look at here, which is why Matt Bragg, our senior technology correspondent, is here. Matt, at its core, what's the difference between the Times revelations and what happened with Cambridge Analytica?
Sure. So this isn't another breach or some fly-by-night third-party app that slipped through the cracks. Basically, Facebook was promising to give these so-called partners access to data that most developers didn't usually get. More sensitive data in some cases, regardless of a user's privacy settings or even without their consent. The reason being, Facebook says, is that these companies were essentially acting as an extension of Facebook itself. And so what did they get? Well, Sony, Microsoft, Amazon, others could obtain usernames and email addresses through their friends without consent as late as 2017. And Spotify, Netflix, and the Royal Bank of Canada could read a user's private messages.
But what's not clear, to me anyway, is why would Netflix or RBC even want access to our private messages?
Well, there isn't any suggestion that any of these companies was actually looking at any personal messages in particular. Rather, RBC wanted to let its customers send e-transfers through Facebook Messenger. Netflix and Spotify wanted to make it easier for people to share music and TV recommendations with friends. And for that, they needed the ability to send messages on your behalf. Now, it's still unclear how exactly many of Facebook's other partners used the data they had access to, or why Facebook gave them so much freedom to tap into that information in the first place. What we know is that users were none the wiser. There was little to no transparency about what was being shared with and with who. And while Facebook has said it's been working to regain its users' trusts, revelations like these make it hard to take them at their word.
And we will still be talking about this in 2019.
Absolutely.
Okay, Matt, thanks very much.
Thank you, Adrian.
There's a lot of talk now about deleting Facebook. Hard to say whether it's more than just talk, but amid all the questions about Facebook's handling of user data, the company's growth seems to be slowing. At the beginning of last year, the company was adding around 70 million active users each quarter. Growth this year has slowed to about half that, but that's still growth. And for some perspective, Facebook still has more than 2.2 billion active users. And don't forget, Facebook owns Instagram. Its growth is explosive. In less than 2 years, the number of Instagram active users doubled to more than 1 billion people.
Let's turn to Junior B hockey now, which can be exciting to watch. But in Manitoba, the action on the ice is giving way to arguments in a courtroom. 5 teams in the southern part of the province have broken away to form a new league, and that has sparked accusations of racism. The CBC's Cameron McIntosh looks into the dispute.
In Peguis First Nation, 2 Junior B championship banners hang as a third sits with the league trophy. In all, 3 consecutive provincial titles. This year, players were hoping for a 4th. That was until half the league decided they would no longer play here.
It's a big difference between motivation and competition between everyone now.
The fans look forward to coming out and watching good hockey against like the other 5 teams that came here.
Manitoba's Keystone Junior Hockey League once operated as a province-wide league until this season when 5 teams split to form a league of their own, leaving behind 4 teams, all based in First Nations communities, including Peguis. The team is asking for a court injunction against this, the new Capital Region Junior League, claiming it's illegally using players under contract to the old KJHL. While the teams themselves all have Indigenous and non-Indigenous players, Peguis' chief says there's a clear message.
It's blatant racism, I believe. Being 3-time defending champions, a First Nation team, it's basically little Johnny taking the puck away. And that shouldn't happen in Canada.
The lawyer for the new league declined to speak. In court today, he argued the decision to withdraw is due to cost and safety concerns over travel in light of the Humboldt crash. Meanwhile, Hockey Manitoba, which governs Junior B, says the court has no jurisdiction here.
It seems like they were siding with the other league, and that shouldn't be. They're here representing all of us.
Junior B is third-tier junior hockey. Most here aren't NHL-bound. But in rural Manitoba, it's a staple. The rivalry's intense. This injunction could be the ultimate power play. If successful, the new league could be suspended. These guys just want their old league back.
It's a pretty good league. A lot of good talent comes out here, I think.
Right now, there's more at stake in the face-off in court than on the ice. Cameron McIntosh, CBC News, Peguis.
Here are some of the other stories we're watching tonight on The National. New charges in the sexual assault scandal at a Toronto private school. Police have arrested a 7th student from St. Michael's College School.
From start to finish, we have investigated 8 different occurrences.
But the charges have only been laid in 3 of those occurrences. It includes assault, sexual assault with a weapon, and gang sexual assault charges. Police remain concerned that video of the assault involving students, which they point out as child pornography, is still being shared online.
That's perhaps a lesson here is it needs to be, these operations need to continually be assessed as they proceed.
A BC couple charged with planting bombs outside the legislature in Victoria will remain free. The British Columbia's highest court denied the Crown's attempt to have them retried and was sharply critical of the RCMP's handling of the case. John Nuttall and Amanda Kuroti were being investigated for terrorism, but at trial, the judge said the undercover operation went far beyond investigating a crime and stayed or froze the charges. The decision was upheld today. In New York, a Canadian man has been sentenced to 40 years in prison. 20-year-old Abdul Rahman El Banasawi had pleaded guilty to conspiring with ISIS to commit terrorist acts, including failed plans to bomb New York's Times Square and the city's subway system. The defense had asked for a more lenient sentence, including treatment for mental health and drug addiction problems.
Still ahead on tonight's National, after years apart, a Syrian refugee family is reunited in Canada, and CBC News was there.
A frightening new detail emerges about the beheading of 2 Canadians in the Philippines.
But next, a revolution in retirement living, the growing appeal of co-housing for seniors.
I didn't mind being alone at times, but then there are those other times when you think, oh, I wish I had someone to talk to.
Oh my God.
Madge, what's wrong?
Here we are in the middle of a crisis and there's no cheesecake.
Man, I love that show. And now the theme song, which I can sing. 4 single seniors living under one roof, navigating retirement together. The Golden Girls was considered revolutionary when it premiered in 1985. But today, it's actually becoming more fact than fiction. Tonight, we introduce you to 3 women who have made a similar choice, part of what may be a growing trend, a new way to deal with the realities of getting older and being single. Cass Rusi paid a visit to their new home in London, Ontario to see why they're doing it and how it's working.
Okay, I'll take that one down. And I like this angel.
It might be cold outside.
Icicles?
But inside, there's easy laughter and a festive mood among 3 old friends.
And this that's perfect.
This year, for the first time, they're doing something different, spending Christmas together under the same roof.
We didn't like living alone anymore. You didn't laugh very much.
I didn't mind being alone at times. But then there are those other times when you think, oh, I wish I had someone to talk to.
Loneliness is a growing epidemic in Canada. More than 1 million seniors say they're lonely. Being alone also contributes to serious health problems, like an increased risk of heart attack or stroke, dementia, depression, and risk of falls.
By living together, people have a community, and especially people that lived in a family, you know, a partner, children. You get older, and you lose all those supports that are inherent to living with others.
This is my room.
So, to fight that feeling of isolation and loneliness, these baby boomers decided it was time to give their living arrangement a reboot. They each sold their own houses, pooled their finances, and by the summer were moving into their new home in London, Ontario. What was the motivation?
If we had to summarize, I'd say economy, safety, and companionship.
The house had everything they were looking for: space, enough privacy, and few stairs to avoid falls. Co-housing also means co-sharing the household bills.
We have $1,400 left to pay off the awning.
But co-housing goes beyond just being a practical financial arrangement.
It's cheaper to live with somebody else, but more importantly, it's better for our health, for physical health and for our mental health.
So, Mary, you're going to make 4 cups of chicken broth?
Back in London, the women say they're eating better and healthier than ever. And there's always someone around for a walk or a talk.
I'm dumping the onions in.
So no regrets?
No.
No, none whatsoever. A couple of things I purged I wish I hadn't, but...
A small price to pay for continued health and companionship.
Okay.
Cass Rusi, CBC News, London, Ontario.
Lots more still ahead. President Trump shocks his advisors with a plan to pull U.S. troops out of Syria.
And the alleged executioner of 2 Canadians in the Philippines is still on the loose, and there might be a troubling explanation for that.
I think he's been a cop, and that has a whole nother dimension for the investigation and the reason why he's been able to evade both the Philippine National Police and the military for years.
Sarah's death has ensured that no other individual will be harmed by Mr. Downey.
A Calgary jury has convicted Edward Downey of 2 counts of first-degree murder in a disturbing high-profile case from the summer of 2016. Sarah Bailey's body was found in her apartment, which triggered an Amber Alert for her 5-year-old daughter, Talia Marsman. The girl's body was found 3 days later. Most of the jurors recommended Downey remain in prison for 50 years before being eligible for parole.
Just so you're on this side of this driveway, okay?
Well, there were some worried parents in Toronto today as police investigated a possible drive-by shooting outside an elementary school that happened just as the school day was about to end. Students were placed in lockdown and were released class by class. Police officers did find, quote, evidence of gunfire at the scene, but wouldn't confirm whether anyone was injured. This is the 3rd shooting in the neighborhood in just over a day. And in Alberta, these truck drivers hoping to get the attention of the federal government. More than 1,000 took part in a convoy in support of the oil and gas industry, clogging up traffic this afternoon in Edmonton. They say Alberta's oil sands product needs to get to market, and the best way to do that is with pipelines.
We're struggling out here. We need our jobs back. We need to get rid of these layoffs. We need to get pipelines built.
The rally comes just a day after the federal government promised more than $1.6 billion to support the ailing energy sector. Okay, let's turn to a sudden and controversial announcement from U.S. President Donald Trump today. He's pulling American troops out of Syria. And tonight, the White House put out this video message.
I've been president for almost 2 years, and we've really stepped it up. And we have won against ISIS. We've beaten them, and we've beaten them badly. We've taken back the land, and now it's time for our troops to come back home.
And he means all 2,000 of them, but suddenly declaring victory over ISIS took a lot of people in Washington by surprise. And as Ellen Morrow tells us, Republicans are among those sounding the alarm.
President Trump's decision to withdraw from Syria, his Twitter declaration ISIS there had been defeated, sparked immediate criticism, even from his own party.
The decision to withdraw an American presence in Syria is a colossal, in my mind, mistake.
If you're tired of fighting radical Islam, I understand it. They're not tired of fighting you. And if you don't get that, you're making a huge mistake. It takes two to end a war.
President Trump seems eager to fulfill his promise to get American troops out, making the move despite top defense officials wanting the U.S. to stay. Just 2 weeks ago, General Joseph Dunford said the job was not yet done.
About 35,000 to 40,000 local forces have to be trained and equipped in order to provide stability. We're probably somewhere along the line of 20% through the training of those forces. But with regard to stabilization, we still have a long way to go, and so I'd be reluctant to affix a time.
Analysts fear the vacuum left behind.
President Trump is running his Syria policy as if it's a reality TV show. If President Trump makes this decision and hastily withdraws U.S. forces from northern eastern Syria, he will be responsible for creating the conditions for ISIS to reemerge with a vengeance.
There are geopolitical issues as well. Concerns Iran, Russia, and Turkey will be able to assert more control. That could hurt the Kurds in northern Syria, America's partner on the ground, but foe to Turkey's President Erdogan. Still, President Trump has his supporters.
For the first time in my lifetime, we have a president with the courage to declare victory and bring the troops home.
Administration officials held a background briefing on the decision today. They said ISIS only has 1% of the territory it once held, but there was little clarity on the timeline or details of the withdrawal. And while the White House referred certain questions to the Department of Defense referred certain questions to the White House. Ellen Morrow, CBC News, Washington.
So let's come back to Trump's declaration of victory over ISIS. A recent U.S. report says there are still as many as 14,000 ISIS militants in Syria. Its last major stronghold is on the eastern bank of the Euphrates River. It's close to being seized by forces backed by the U.S. ISIS also controls some desert terrain west of the river. Until now, U.S. policy has been to keep the troops in place until the group was eradicated.
This month marks 3 years since the first government planes arrived in Canada carrying Syrian refugees, making good on a government promise to resettle 25,000 people whose lives were torn apart by that civil war. Senior correspondent Susan Ormiston has been following the Tunbari family since before they left the Middle East. They had to say goodbye to heartbroken grandparents who were left behind. Now Susan catches up with the Tunbaris as they prepare for a joyous reunion.
Zainab Al-Omar can hardly believe she's been in Canada 3 years already. Now, with a whole lot of hope and prayers and help from Canadians, she's back at the Windsor airport with her kids, waiting for their Syrian grandparents.
Air Canada Flight 8869 from Toronto, Pearson Airport.
How do you feel about them coming today?
أنا كتير فرحانة إنه جايين ومبسوطة يعني ماني مصدقة حتى من الفرح ده.
We first met the family 3 years ago in Lebanon. They'd fled their home in Syria. The night we met, they were about to leave everything they knew to come to Canada as refugees. That night was the Last Supper with the elder Tambaris, who would stay behind. Parting was painful, wrenching Ida away from her son and daughter-in-law and her grandchildren, not knowing when she'd ever see them again. 3 years later, the 3 eldest children are in school in Windsor, becoming fluent in French, learning English, and hanging on to their Arabic.
Bonjour papa, bonjour maman. Ça va bien? Je travaille beaucoup.
Language, though, has been a struggle for their parents, still only at level 1 in English. What's the most difficult thing still for you to get used to living in Canada?
لا ما في شيء صعب يعني أنا هلا عم عامل أكثر جهد إني أتعلم اللغة يعني هي اللغة كل شيء الواحد يعرف يحكي يتفاهم مع العالم فعم بعمل أقصى طاقتي.
Windsor has taken in nearly 2,400 Syrians since November 2015, adding to an already vibrant Arabic community. But even with government help, settlement is a long process, and some have adapted more quickly than others, says Hugo Vega.
In the work that we do, we know that it could take a long time. It could take 5 to 10 years sometimes for someone to really establish themselves, professionally in the different facets of their life. So I think that they're about midway in that process. I think we are seeing really successful individuals that are established, that are independent already, and others that aren't.
The Tambaris were government-sponsored for the first year, and then when a Windsor group got involved, they decided to privately sponsor the senior Tambaris and an orphaned nephew. Lawyer Anneke Smit pushed to make it all happen.
I really feel that it's important that the government, before they can say they did the job, so to speak, that they put something in place for family reunification. Because it's not just about the parents or the grandparents who might have come under existing family reunifications. In some cases, we've left the more vulnerable people behind. So even if we do nothing else, I think that's really a moral obligation on us to take care of.
So on arrival day, Anneke is waiting with Zainab. The trip from Lebanon has taken 2 days and the flight's been twice delayed. Then finally, after a 3-year wait, Mohammed Tambari and Ida Abdelkarim emerge. Greeting their daughter-in-law, meeting their grandchildren, who barely remember them.
Bilal, Jiddo.
Bilal, it's your grandfather, she says. Keenan, age 9, was raised by the grandparents and he'll join his cousins. The sponsorship group is responsible for the first year of settling in. And Zainab is grateful. So are the grandparents. Mohammed, at 72, is feeling unwell, but he's made it.
شكرا. Thank you very much.
حلوة كندا؟ عجبتك كندا؟ عجبتك كندا؟
والله
حلوة. راح نشوي عدة. إبراهيم.
For the time being, the Tambaris will settle their parents with them in their home. And after so long, it's a bit overwhelming just to be in the living room. Can you believe you're in Canada?
ونحن متشكرين كون كثير ومنشكر كندا ومنشكر كل اللي ساعدونا بكندا.
Zainab is setting out a reunion feast. On this night, they celebrate a more peaceful future, so different from the Last Supper they shared together. Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Windsor.
We have to take a short break, but when we come back, some disturbing new details about the alleged executioner of 2 Canadians in the Philippines.
There's never been that level of transparency that I think both Canadians expect and the victims' families expect.
First, though, a look at a story you'll see here tomorrow night on The National. Sasha Petrusik takes us to Beijing, a city snarled in traffic and choked by smog. We'll look at why part of the solution could come on 2 wheels. Here's a preview.
It's a twist on shared bicycles that's taken this country by storm. 23 million of them are out there across China, and they're starting to change traffic patterns. Riders say, it's changing my life, and I hope it'll change the environment. The bikes go out every morning to be picked up and dropped off by riders pretty much anywhere. Instead of docks, each bicycle is connected, tracked, and unlocked by satellite and cell signal. Riders use their smartphones to scan a barcode, and the signal does the rest.
We have a very firm policy of not paying ransom to terrorist organizations.
The Prime Minister earlier today responding to a question about Canada's ransom policy. This was after reports that a militant believed to have killed 2 Canadians in the Philippines is still on the loose and more than happy to show himself off on Facebook. We have learned a lot in the 2.5 years since those Canadian men died, but justice for them and their families remains elusive. In the Philippines, the military has hunted down some of the militants involved, but not the alleged killer who beheaded the men. Now, a Canadian intelligence analyst may have discovered an alarming truth, one the Philippine government cannot be happy about. The boastful thugs of Abu Sayyaf, the ones who kidnapped and killed Canadians Robert Hall and John Ridsdale, have never been able to restrain themselves from taking pictures.
Want your cooperation.
Some, still on the run from the Philippine military, clearly act with impunity. This man has. He's known by several names, including Ben Tattoo, and he was the executioner.
So there he's taking a picture of himself, a selfie in the jungles in the Philippines. And the angle of the photo, the angle of his face, it matched perfectly to one of the execution videos.
Quietly for 2 years now, a Canadian intelligence analyst acting independently has been tracking the on-again, off-again social media accounts of Ben Tattoo, who's clearly making it known he's now affiliated with ISIS.
So as you scroll through,
in his search, Jeff Wyers says he spotted something startling. This, a picture of Ben Tattoo in police uniform. He's posted it a few times, most recently with the never surrender taunt.
I think he's been a cop. And that has a whole nother dimension for the investigation and the reason why he's been able to evade both the Philippine National Police and the military for years.
In other words, the uniform of the police units that hunt Abu Sayyaf. Stolen uniforms or uniforms sold on the black market have been a problem in the Philippines, but Wyers says he sees other indications Tattoo may have been a real member of the force. Look at his name on the ammunition, for example.
It verifies also his identity. He's labeled the grenades because he's responsible for them.
Wyers is also curious about an image behind Ben Tattoo that he says looks like fleet vehicle keys, the way police and military carry them. CBC News has gone through Ben Tattoo's most recent Facebook page and has found connections, friends, who are also police officers. This doesn't necessarily prove anything, but the implication is damning. It suggests one of the most wanted men in the Philippines at one point was trained in a counterinsurgency unit, learned all the skills he'd need to evade capture. Did he flip sides at one point? Was he both cop and Abu Sayyaf terrorist at the same time? Neither the Philippine police nor military have answered our questions, but it would be wrong to suggest they aren't trying to find him. Just a year after Hall and Ridsdale were killed, we sat down with the commander of the unit that had tried to rescue the Canadians and other hostages. And the man who beheaded the 2 Canadians, what's happened to him?
Many people involved in the beheadings that already died due to combat operations. I can assure you that. But the leaders, we are trying to get them also. Because leaders are mostly the hardest part to crack because they have many defenses.
And deadly. The military gave us these photos it claimed are some of the Filipino casualties of all those efforts. How many soldiers did you lose trying to rescue the Canadians?
Well, what I can say is that I'll give you a range. That's from 30 to 35. That range, from different time operations. They lost their lives trying to rescue the kidnapped victims, the Canadian kidnapped victims.
Always, Abu Sayyaf were one step ahead. It's often the way. They've learned to navigate and own the jungles as well as some of the local populations. But is it possible Ben Tattoo had the right training to keep soldiers at bay? The stories about the attempted rescues are verified by one of the only people who really knows what happened, Tess Floor. She was Robert Hall's girlfriend.
Sometimes I regret because I was thinking that I did my best because I did lots of things to help Robert, to save Robert's life, but it's not working.
She told us she remembers hearing the bullets flying. She and Hall could hear the soldiers were desperate to be saved.
Sometimes we felt scared, of course, and sometimes we, after that fight, we said, no, it's frustrating because we are still here.
Tess would try to negotiate with the kidnappers as the only person who could speak with them. She even tried talking to Ben Tattoo's wife.
I talked to the wife of the guy who did a beheading. I talked to her that, please, can you please talk to your husband? Because of course he is our leader. Can you please talk to him that this money that they were asking, it's ridiculous. She also told me, okay, Ate, I will talk to him, but I didn't trust them.
Canada does not and will not pay ransom to terrorists.
Canada's position was clear, and the hostages understood that, but still hoped their government would somehow help save them. After they were killed, another country eventually intervened, and Tess and a Norwegian hostage were released, a ransom paid. It was seeing her tell her tale that Jeff Wires says started him on the path of looking for more information, just trying to help.
I think the families feel like they've been ignored from the start. In the investigation, by their government, and to a certain extent by Canadians. We want them to know that that's not the case, that Canadians do care.
But to dig around like this isn't comfortable for anyone. One person close to the families called the report damning. Another is angry the research is coming out at a time that's hard enough as it is. It's not known what will come of this, but in the work there are warnings. Ben Tattoo is on the loose and getting bolder, his history becoming clearer. Wires believes he can trace him to the kidnapping of a German couple years before the Canadians were taken.
He's right there. You can tell by his little brow there. The biggest issue in this investigation has been transparency. So even in the disclosures by the Philippine government to our own government, there's never been that level of transparency that I think both Canadians expect and the victims' families expect.
It's not just transparency. Canadians allowed themselves to hope for answers, too. Arguably, they don't have either. Now, neither the RCMP nor the Ministry of Global Affairs would offer updates on the investigation. They say they are aware of the report we just referred to, but they're just not talking about it.
Well, that sure was interesting. Up next on The National, our moment of the day, Banksy strikes again.
I'd been awake during the course of the night because I haven't been feeling particularly well. Scrolling through Twitter because I couldn't sleep. And I noticed that there were a few people starting to post about the possibility of a Banksy drawing being in the Port Talbot area, which is about 10 miles away.
It is this street art that has everyone talking in a small town in Wales today. It first appeared overnight on two walls of a garage. And that's when the speculation about Banksy began. Just the possibility of catching the elusive street artist's latest work was enough for one man. John Doherty jumped out of bed, made his way into town. What he saw and what it turned out to be is our moment.
I just got in the car at 3 in the morning. There was a chap sat in the car next to the location. Basically, he was the custodian of the area of the night, making sure that no harm come to it. He was without doubt that it was a Banksy, which convinced me at that time as well. As the day's gone on, It's been confirmed it is a Banksy. Whilst it's flattering the Banksy's come there, the image which is portrayed and the message, I don't think is that good. Obviously, you've got the young child there in what he thinks is snow, and then around the other corner of the building, there's a fire there, which I think personally is symbolic of the steelworks and the pollution from the steelworks, and it's something which will need to be addressed. But nevertheless, it's something that's got the entire country talking about, and for this to happen on our own doorstep is just mind-blowing.
Okay, so he's right, it seems, about the inspiration there. I guess back in July, it was black ash that was covering houses from the steel mills. And then I guess a toll has been removed on a nearby highway, which is going to bring more cars, more pollution. Banksy has his finger on the pulse of that one.
It is the power of Banksy, of course. Not only does he create art that is so evocative for the people who live there, but those of us who don't have been scrambling to maps to figure out where this community is and thinking about that pollution issue, Adrienne, that you just mentioned.
Yeah, and it's so interesting the way he chooses these places, because this is just some guy's garage that now has Banksy on the side of it, so they're going to have to put up barricades to protect it. And as you say, Ian, everyone will come and visit. That's The National for December 19th. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.